Describing things. Stolen car.
Police Department, Sergeant Wong speaking.
My car's been stolen. It's gone.
Okay, now calm down. Let me have your name and address.
Richard Lockwood, 4512 Eisenhower Boulevard, apartment 18J.
All right. Now give me a description of the missing vehicle.
Well, it's a 95 Ford Escort, a light gray, four-door model. Oh, it has a thin dark blue stripe along the sides and a dent in the left front fender.
What's the license plate number?
RJG 1224.
Hold on just a minute. Hello? I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is that your car wasn't stolen. It was towed for illegal parking. The bad news is that it will cost you $150 to get it back.
The real estate agent.
Hello, Donna Wu speaking.
Hi, Donna. This is Joyce Fine at Ivy Realty. I think I found a house you'll be interested in.
Oh, terrific. What's it like? Tell me about it.
Well, it's in Arrowhead, the section you wanted. It's a split-level, 3-bedroom, red brick house with white trim. It's only 6 years old and has a large country-style kitchen.
How big a yard does it have?
It's a 1-acre lot with some nice-sized trees and a very pretty flower garden in back. When do you want to see it?
Could we meet there tomorrow afternoon? It sounds perfect.
Sure thing. Let's make it at 2 o'clock. Here's the address.
Lost and found.
Union Station Lost and Found Department. Can I help you?
Hello. Yes, I hope so. I left my briefcase on the train this morning. I wonder if it has been turned in.
Which train?
Oh, the 8:40 from Concord.
And what does your briefcase look like?
Well, it's, an average-size rectangular brown leather attaché case with brass locks.
We have quite a few that fit that description. Did it have your name on it?
No, not my name, but it has my initials by the handle, JFA.
Hold on just a minute. Let me take a look.
Describing people. Donna.
Well, she's really talkative and funny. She's about, well, in her late teens. She's pretty tall, with a really good figure. She has a kind of oval-shaped face and a turned-up nose. Very pretty in a way. She has long, wavy black hair and blue eyes with very long eyelashes. Her complexion is, well, she's olive-skinned. Her lips are very full, and she has dimples, the cutest little dimples in her cheeks. Oh, and she always wears jeans.
Tony.
He's a really big guy, you know, well-built with very broad shoulders. Not fat at all, but solid. He's in his early 30s. He's dark-skinned, and he has a long face with thin lips. Oh, and a scar on his chin. He has dark curly hair, almost black, and wears it short but with long sideburns and a mustache. His eyes, I haven't really noticed the color. He wears glasses. Brown, I guess. He has thick eyebrows and kind of a long, straight nose. He's pretty reserved and quiet, sometimes even moody.
Janet.
She's very sophisticated, well-dressed, one of those expensive haircuts, you know. I'd say she was in her late 30s or early 40s, but she looks younger. She's about average height and very slim. Her hair's very blonde. Dyed, I think, but I'm not sure. It's always very neat, not long. She has light gray eyes with thin eyebrows. Her face is always suntanned and very well made up. It's an attractive face. Not really beautiful, but attractive, handsome, if you know what I mean. High cheekbones, small chin. Oh, and there's a beauty mark on her left cheek. She's a very confident and reliable sort of person, very sociable, and always very, very polite.
Bob.
Bob's a terrific person. He's elderly, but not really old, cheerful and friendly and funny. He's probably in his early 70s. He has white hair, receding a little, and a small white beard. He's of medium build, a little bit overweight maybe. He has nice big brown eyes, and he always seems to be smiling. Lots of wrinkles around the eyes, but they're smile lines, not frown lines. He has a very high lined forehead that makes him look very intelligent, which he is, of course.
Presidential debate. A few minutes before the presidential debate.
Come on, Gary. Hurry up. The debate is about to start. How come you're so late?
The battery was dead. I had to call Al from the garage to give me a jump start. Then I went back to the garage to get some gas and to get the battery recharged.
Oh, no. Do we need a new battery?
Probably.
Not another expense. If it's not one thing, it's another. Oh, the debate's starting. We'll talk later.
We interrupt our regular television schedule in order to bring you the following presidential debate.
Good evening. I'm Carol Moore. As you know, 3 people are running for President of the United States. I will introduce them in a moment. In order to be fair, we will allow all 3 candidates to answer each question. Each candidate will be allowed a 1-minute response to make sure everyone gets to express his or her opinion. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our 3 candidates. Mrs. Victoria Cranston, Mr. Ron Perot, and Mr. Bob Noel. The first area I'd like to ask about is the economy. What are you going to do to make sure the economy improves? Mr. Perot, we'll start with you.
You know, I'm a successful businessman, and I know how to make a lot of money. To get this economy back on its feet, we need to repeal the income tax increases of the last few years. In order to make up for the loss of revenue, I'll put a tax on gasoline. The gas tax would be just 10 cents per gallon per year for the next 4 years. And I do a bunch of things to help small business owners. We need to help small businesses in order to increase the number of good jobs. For the purpose of getting the economy moving again, I'll give tax credits to manufacturers. We have to sell things, folks, if we're going to make money. Oh, am I out of time already?
Do-it-yourself.
Do-It-Yourself magazine sponsors a contest every summer to find the winner of the annual Do-It-Yourself Award. This year, a married couple, Rudy and Irene Cipriani, won. A writer from Do-It-Yourself is interviewing them at their house.
Well, I'm very impressed by all the work you've done on your house. How long have you been working on it?
We became interested in do-it-yourself several years ago. Our son Paul was in an accident and lost the use of his legs. He's in a wheelchair. We had to make changes so that he could move around the house. There was no way we could afford to pay to have it done. We had to learn to do it ourselves.
How did you go about learning?
I decided to go to a vocational school at night so that I could learn cabinet making and electrical wiring. Later, Irene went so that she could study plumbing and general carpentry, too.
Tell me about the kind of changes you made to the house.
You know, you never realize the problems disabled people have until it affects your own family. Nowadays, most public buildings have ramps so that people in wheelchairs can get in, and buses have lifts so that people with disabilities can get on and off. But just imagine the problems Paul would have in your house. We needed wide halls so that he could move from one room to another, and we needed a big bathroom so that he could be as independent as possible. We had to change a lot.
Where did you start?
The electrical system. Rudy completely rewired the house so that Paul could turn on and off the lights and plug in appliances. We had to redo the whole house so that Paul could reach things and do what he wanted.
What are you working on now?
We've just finished redoing the kitchen so that Paul can do a little cooking. Now we're converting the garage into a workshop so that he can make some money fixing appliances.
How do you plan to spend the $50,000 prize?
We're hoping to start our own construction business so that we can do conversions for people with disabilities.
A new way of life.
Tonight on TV Closeup, our correspondent Diana Romero will talk to some rat race dropouts, some very happy people who've given up regular jobs and high salaries to start a new way of life.
I'm here in northern Vermont, where the nearest town is more than 25 miles away. Dan and Michelle Gallagher were born and lived most of their lives in Boston. Dan was vice president of marketing for a publishing company, and Michelle was an advertising executive. They gave up their jobs and moved to this remote area of Vermont 4 years ago. Michelle, what made you give up everything for this?
Everything? A big house and expensive cars aren't everything. We used to work long hours. Such long hours, in fact, that we hardly ever saw each other. We wanted to do this years ago, but we were making so much money that we were afraid to quit our jobs. Even the time we spent at home was so hectic that we never had time to just be together. So 4 years ago, we traveled around New England on vacation. We saw this place. It was for sale, and we liked it so much we decided to buy it. The next week, we quit our jobs, sold most of our things, and here we are.
How do you earn a living?
We don't need a lot. We have 2 milk cows and a few chickens. We grow all our own vegetables. It's a simple life. We're still so busy that we work from dawn to dark, but we're together. And now we have Kimberly, who's 3. We're happier than we've ever been.
The motorcycle I'm sitting on is a very special one. Special because it's been all the way around the world. It belongs to Luke Musto, who has just come back here to Detroit after a 3-year motorcycle trip. Luke, what led you to quit your job and make this trip?
I worked in a car factory on the assembly line. I made good money, but it was really monotonous. It was so routine that I never had to think. My job is done by a robot now. Big surprise. Anyway, I bought this bike secondhand, put 2 packs on the back, and got myself on a freighter to Europe.
What did you do for money?
I had a little money saved up, but of course it didn't last long. I had to find work where I could. I did a lot of different things. Picked fruit, washed dishes, worked as a mechanic.
How did people react to you?
Everywhere I went, people were so friendly that I always felt right at home. There was such a tremendous amount of interest in the bike that it was easy to start a conversation. Usually you can communicate without knowing the language.
Did you ever feel like giving up and coming home?
Only once, in Bangladesh. I got so sick from something I ate that I had to go to a hospital. But it didn't last long.
You've had such an exciting time that you'll find it hard to settle down in Detroit, won't you?
I'm not going to. Next week I'm leaving again, but this time I'm heading south, to Tierra del Fuego. See you when I get back.
Last of the airships?
At 7:20 p.m. on May 6, 1937, the world's largest airship, the Hindenburg, floated majestically over Lakehurst Airport, New Jersey, after an uneventful crossing from Frankfurt, Germany. There were 97 people on board for the first Atlantic crossing of the season. There were a number of reporters waiting to greet it. Suddenly, radio listeners heard the commentator screaming, "Oh my God! It's broken into flames! It's flashing! Flashing! It's flashing terribly!" 32 seconds later, the airship had disintegrated, and 35 people were dead. The age of the airship was over. The Hindenburg was the last in a series of airships which had been developed over 40 years in both Europe and the United States. They were designed to carry passengers and cargo over long distances. The Hindenburg could carry 50 passengers in 25 luxury cabins with all the amenities of a first-class hotel. All the cabins had hot and cold water and electric heating. There was a dining room, a bar, and a lounge with a dance floor and a baby grand piano. The Hindenburg had been built to rival the great luxury transatlantic liners. It was able to cross the Atlantic in less than half the time of a liner. By 1937, it had carried 1,000 passengers safely, and had even transported circus animals and cars. Its sister ship, the Graf Zeppelin, had flown over 1,000,000 miles, 1.6 million kilometers, and had carried 13,100 passengers without incident. Nobody knows the exact cause of the Hindenburg disaster. The Hindenburg was filled with hydrogen, which is a highly flammable gas, and every safety precaution had been taken to prevent accidents. Sabotage has been suggested, but experts at the time believed that it was caused by leaking gas, which was ignited by static electricity. It had been waiting to land for 3 hours because of heavy thunderstorms. The explosion happened just as the first mooring rope, which was wet, touched the ground. The most surprising thing is that 62 people managed to escape. The fatalities were highest among the crew members, many of whom were working deep inside the airship. After the Hindenburg disaster, all airships were grounded, and until recently, they have never been seriously considered as a commercial proposition.
The Washington, D.C. Metro.
Traveling on the Washington Metro presents few difficulties for visitors because of the clear, color-coded map. At the bottom of the map, you will find fare and travel time information. You buy your fare card at one of the yellow vending machines. You can use nickels, dimes, quarters, $1, $5, $10, and $20 bills, and the machine will give you change. You have to use your fare card to enter the metro system by inserting it into the slot at the gate. It will be returned to you at the other side of the gate. Do the same thing when exiting the system.
Piero and Margarita have just arrived at National Airport.
Okay. We have to get to Deanwood. Can you see it?
Yes, it's up here. It looks so easy. We just take the yellow line to L'Enfant Plaza, then change to the orange line. It goes straight there. It's the 7th stop from L'Enfant Plaza.
Betsy is at the information booth at the Pentagon.
Excuse me, how do I get to Connecticut Avenue and Q Street? I mean, which is the nearest metro station?
You want DuPont Circle. Take a look at the map. You take the yellow line to Gallery Place. Then you'll have to change for the red line. It's the 3rd stop.
I see.
Or you could take the blue line to Metro Center and change to the red line there.
Which way is faster?
It's about the same.
Well, thank you.
Where's a map?
There's one over here. They said we have to meet them at Farragut North. Can you find it?
Yes, here it is. I guess we take the blue line to L'Enfant Plaza, then change to the yellow line and go to Gallery Place. Then we go 2 stops to Farragut North on the red line.
I'm not sure that's the quickest way. We could take the blue line all the way to Metro Center and get the red line there. Then it's only 1 stop.
We might as well do it your way. It's only 1 change. My way has 2 changes. Where are we going now?
The Washington Monument. Here's the map I picked up.
Okay, let's see. Here we are at Union Station. I think the best way to go is to take the red line 3 stops to Metro Center.
Right. And then we switch to either the blue line or the orange line. It doesn't seem to matter. So we take the blue or the orange line south to the 2nd stop.
Great. It shouldn't take long.
The 6 o'clock news.
And now, the 6 o'clock report with Jack Dennehy.
Good evening. Thousands of Portstown residents marched on City Hall today to protest plans to build a state prison near the city. Although a light rain was falling, an estimated 5,000 people marched over a mile from Portstown High School to City Hall, where Governor Brown and Mayor Henry Flores were meeting to discuss the project. A new prison is needed because the other state prisons are overcrowded. Several sites for the new prison were considered, but Portstown was chosen because, in the governor's words, all areas in the state must share the problems of our prison system. Although the protesters asked to meet with the governor, he refused and returned to the capital. After the governor's departure, however, the mayor met with the organizers of the march and explained his position. 4 entire city blocks were evacuated this afternoon in Oceanside because of a gas explosion. The explosion occurred at 1:20 p.m. in a deserted building on 2nd Street. Fire department officials believe that the explosion was due to leaking gas. The building had been empty for several months, and they suspect that a gas main had cracked because of vibrations from work being carried out by the city on the street. Coast Guard helicopters went into action today after a yacht capsized in Coolidge Sound. Despite rain and high seas, the helicopters were able to rescue all but one of those aboard. 2 men and 2 women were pulled to safety, but one of the men was pronounced dead on arrival despite the rescue team's efforts. The other 3 are in satisfactory condition. The 5th passenger, a woman, was not found. Although the Coast Guard continues its search, she is presumed drowned. The Coast Guard had issued a small craft warning this morning, but the yacht set out from the Newgate Marina in spite of the warnings. Incomplete reports have reached this station about a 100-mile-an-hour car chase on Portstown streets. Only minutes ago, according to these reports, Portstown police were alerted by an anonymous phone call and rushed to catch a gang that was breaking into a local discount clothing store. However, the gang of young males escaped in a late-model car that allegedly had been stolen 2 days ago in Harbor City. The gang was armed and fired several times at the police cars behind them. Nevertheless, the police were able to run the gang's car off the road and arrest all the members with no injuries on either side. Now to sports. Portstown High School Stadium was filled last night when the Portstown Pirates played their traditional rivals, the Harbor City Raiders. Pirate quarterback Tony Rizzuto scored 2 touchdowns in the first half. Although the Raiders didn't score at all in the first half, they went on to win with 2 touchdowns and a field goal in the second half. In spite of the Pirates' good showing in the first half, they couldn't seem to do anything right in the second. The final score? Raiders 17, Pirates 14.